You know, we joke here that sometimes Jonathan Gruber certainly actually kind of looks like the Nutty Professor, but a new video surfacing, no laughing matter. Take a look.
Full disclaimer, I'm going to describe it objectively, but I helped write it. So I'll be objective. I'll try to be objective, but just full disclaimer, I was involved in writing the legislation. So there is some bias involved here.
I just wrote the law. It's a bad Jerry Lewis, isn't it? But didn't he just tell Congress that he wasn't the architect of the law? Jim's all over this Engel, as in our very dear Jim Engel. It's his last day today, so we thought we'd throw this incredible drama right at him. He's been covering it expertly. I don't get it. Then he either was or was not a big cheese in this. What is it?
So Gruber's my going away president?
There you go, buddy.
Well, yeah, Neil, you remember the old comedy, The Mouse That Roared? I think at this point we can call Gruber the mouth that roared. He claims not to be the architect, but then told people he was involved in writing it. I think even that is an exaggeration, but he did clearly work on the numbers about which there's an ongoing dispute. He also argued, you remember, that subsidies were intended as an incentive for the states, which is what the legislation actually says, even though the federal marketplaces are giving them out too. That, of course, is being challenged in a key case going to the Supreme Court, and the outcome could deal a deadly blow to Obamacare. Gruber's comments will no doubt be part of that argument. So the mouth that roared may have exaggerated his influence on the law, but his influence on the debate may be even bigger, Neil.
But we now know that he, hyped a lot of things up. But I never, when looking at all these tapes, Jim, I'm sure you did as well, the underlying law that he was referring to, he didn't lie about that. What he lied about is how to sell it. In other words, how to sell it to the American people and sell it to those who were doubting it. And that's where it got a little creative. And that's where it calls into question not only his role, but others, including all the way up to the Supreme Court, because they, by and large, bought a lot of his arguments.
Well, yeah, and you have members of Congress saying, oh, no, it wasn't too complicated. Remember we talked about all this in public? Well, yeah, they talked about it, but remember Nancy Pelosi said we have to read it to figure out what's in it. I mean, people didn't understand a lot of this stuff. People are still learning things about the Affordable Care Act that they didn't understand when they passed it. I've been covering this for 2 or 3 years. I still learn things and go, really? Really? Are you kidding me?
But you know, Jim, I mean, you and I have gotten this before, and I've said it many times on this show and even covering it at the time that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But I remember in one conversation I had with Gruber when he said, expressed no surprise that we're still going to be left with 30 million uninsured in this country. And I said, wait a minute. Right. The whole idea was to upend this thing so that everyone would be insured. He said, no, that was never the intention.
Well, right. And we upended the entire healthcare system on the theory that we were going to insure the uninsured. And after $1.8 trillion and 10 years, we will still have, according to the Congressional Budget Office, 31 million uninsured people.
Amazing.
So wasn't there a cheaper way to do this?
What are you going to do now, buddy?
Well, it's not clear. I'd love to do a wine show on cable. That would be my passion. It's hard to figure out where the financing is going to work, but I will miss covering Obamacare, and I will certainly miss being around all of the people here, longtime colleagues, good friends with whom we've had a very good relationship, and that's going to be tough to miss.
What's tough about Jim, and the reason why we always get angry at him, is both sides love him, which means I don't trust him. But he's that good a reporter, that good a human being, and that widely respected on all sides with everyone he meets and every story he touches. I envy that. I'm just glad that he's out of my way now so I don't have to compete with that. But Jim, seriously, I wish you the very best, my friend. And let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Jim Engel, one of the best. People, reporters, the whole 9 yards. All right.